If there is one thing Harrison Ford does well, it's embodying his roles like no other. And we can all see that in the movie Indiana Jones, where he brings the character to life to the fullest.
You son of a...
And for such a great actor, he makes sure to abide by his own rules and doesn't like it when others disrespect his rules. Unfortunately, for some of his colleagues, they have broken his rules and thereby earned a negative batch from him that might last forever. From actors who have worked with him on set to rising stars and even big names in the industry, these are the 7 actors that Harrison Ford hated the most. You might just be shocked to see who is on this list. Starting at number 7, we have Shia LaBeouf.
God, her name is...
It's the one I picked. You got a problem with it?
Harrison Ford, known for his gruff persona and candid interviews, didn't hold back when discussing his Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull co-star, Shia LaBeouf. The tension between the two became public after LaBeouf criticized the 2008 film after it had dropped. LaBeouf admitted in interviews that the movie didn't meet expectations and even suggested that Ford and director Steven Spielberg failed to deliver. And of course, this statement didn't sit well with Ford when he caught news of what was happening. Shia LaBeouf criticism. Ford responded bluntly in an interview, calling LaBeouf's remarks unprofessional. He expressed disappointment in his young co-star, stating that an actor owes loyalty to the creative team and the collaborative process.
Jones is nominated to take home some golden popcorn, and if you want to check out all things to do with the movie awards, you log on to movieawards.mtv.
Ford believed that airing grievances publicly, especially about a film that required immense effort from many, was a betrayal. He implied that LaBeouf's comments were not only disrespectful, but also indicative of immaturity. While Ford didn't go out of his way to launch a personal attack, his words carried the weight of disapproval from an established industry figure. He made it clear that trashing the film, and by extension, everyone involved, was not the way to handle dissatisfaction. Their once promising on-screen father-son dynamic gave way to a cold, off-screen distance. Now, enough about this man. Let's move on to number 6, which is Alec Baldwin.
No, it's not true.
Not true. No truth to that at all. Okay.
This all started with The Hunt for Red October, where Alec Baldwin played the CIA analyst Jack Ryan. The film was a hit, critics loved it, and fans assumed Baldwin would return for the sequel. But when Patriot Games hit theaters in 1992, there was a new face in the role, Harrison Ford. On the surface, it looked like a simple casting change, but behind the scenes, it was messy. Baldwin claimed he had every intention of returning. He wrote in his memoir that he was negotiating to reprise the role when he suddenly learned that Ford had been cast behind his back. He believed Ford actively lobbied for the role and pushed Paramount to dump him. Baldwin even described Ford as not a great guy and accused him of being cold, strategic, and opportunistic. Ford, true to form, didn't say much publicly, but his silence said everything. It's clear Harrison didn't like being dragged into a public beef, especially over a role he went on to define. And based on how fast he jumped into Patriot Games and Clear and Present Danger, he had zero hesitation about stepping over Baldwin to take the part. They've never worked together, never reconciled, and to this day, Harrison Ford has never publicly shown Alec Baldwin much respect. That's not just distance, that's cold dismissal. Let's have a look at number 5, Sean Young.
During the filming of the original, Harrison was a big pain in the butt.
During the filming of Blade Runner 1982, the relationship between Harrison Ford and Sean Young has long been described as tense and uncomfortable by both actors and others involved in the production. The tension between Ford and Young reportedly stemmed from a lack of chemistry and very different personalities. Ford was already an established star by the time of Blade Runner, known for his reserved and professional demeanor. Young, by contrast, was relatively new to the film industry and had a more outspoken and unconventional approach to her role and interactions. Their different working styles on set may have clashed on set, contributing to an overall cold atmosphere. One of the most talked about aspects of their strained relationship revolves around the infamous love scene between their characters, Rick Deckard and Rachel. It was reportedly very awkward to film and has often been criticized for its mechanical and uncomfortable execution. Director Ridley Scott even admitted that the scene was not romantic, but intentionally cold, which further deepened the discomfort between the actors. Some critics and fans interpreted it as forced, and both Ford and Young appeared to agree that the experience was unpleasant. Over time, rumors circulated suggesting that Ford disliked Young off-screen as well. However, Ford has largely remained tight-lipped about the matter, offering little public commentary. Young, on the other hand, has spoken more openly about the experience, often framing herself as the outsider in a male-dominated production that was not particularly welcoming. And years later, she still speaks about the cold nature of Harrison Ford towards her while they were on set. Moving on, we have number 4, Josh Hartnett.
Harrison Ford gave me a hard time pretty much the whole time we were shooting.
Harrison Ford and Josh Hartnett, co-stars in the 2003 action comedy film Hollywood Homicide, reportedly had a notoriously strained working relationship throughout the production. While the movie attempted to blend buddy cop humor with a fast-paced mystery, the real tension between the two actors spilled over in their on-screen chemistry. Ford, a veteran actor known for his no-nonsense professionalism, was reportedly frustrated by Hartnett's laid-back attitude and approach to acting. He was said to be irritated by what he perceived as a lack of commitment or seriousness from his younger co-star. Josh Hartnett, at the time rising in Hollywood as a heartthrob, allegedly found Ford's attitude overly gruff and dismissive. According to various reports and behind-the-scenes accounts, the two clashed over everything from work ethic to personal style.
He likes to take control.
So he kind of is the guy in charge.
Ford preferred efficiency and minimal rehearsal, while Hartnett leaned more towards spontaneity and creative freedom. These differences created a visible rift between them that neither tried particularly hard to conceal. Promotional appearances further highlighted their mutual discomfort. Interviews were often awkward, with minimal interaction and stiff body language. Observers noted that they appeared disengaged and cold toward each other, which fueled speculation of genuine animosity. While neither actor publicly confirmed outright hostility, Ford later hinted in interviews that working with Hartnett was not ideal, and Hartnett, too, has subtly acknowledged that the experience was difficult. Ultimately, the lack of cohesion between the two translated into a film that felt uneven and lacked the dynamic camaraderie expected from a buddy cop duo. Hollywood Homicide received mixed reviews and underperformed at the box office, with many critics citing the visible tension between the leads as a key flaw. The poor collaboration remains a noted example of how behind-the-scenes friction can affect the final product on screen. Let's have a look at number 3, which is none other than Brad Pitt.
Never meant for this to happen. Look, I'm in a bind. I don't have time to explain. I get my gear and I'll clear out.
Brad Pitt is an acclaimed American actor and film producer known for his versatility and charisma on screen. He rose to fame in the 1990s with roles in films like Legends of the Fall and Fight Club. Brad Pitt collaborated with Harrison Ford in the 1997 thriller The Devil's Own, and it seemed like a blockbuster match, two Hollywood heavyweights sharing the screen in a tale of political intrigue and personal conflict. But behind the camera, their relationship was anything but harmonious. The trouble started long before the cameras even rolled. Pitt, who had signed on to the film early, had concerns about the script. He wanted changes, substantial ones. Ford, coming on later as both actor and executive producer, didn't appreciate being met with a co-star who was already pushing for rewrites. Ford believed the story should focus on his character, a New York cop with moral dilemmas. Pitt, however, was drawn to the emotional complexity of his character, an Irish Republican Army operative navigating dangerous loyalties. This creative tug-of-war became the film's unofficial subplot. Their working relationship was strained, professional, but distant. On set, the two reportedly kept to themselves, rarely interacting unless the scene demanded it. There were no playful bangers between takes, no shared laughs, just a cold, professional silence.
You know, we only hear about the ones who go off the track.
That's the way that job goes, I'm afraid.
The tension steeped into production, with scenes being rewritten on the fly, shooting schedules delayed, and the film's tone shifting with every clash of vision. In later interviews, neither actor minced words. Pitt described the production as the most irresponsible bit of filmmaking he'd ever been a part of. Ford, ever the seasoned veteran, was more measured but unimpressed with Pitt's approach, subtly criticizing his insistence on shaping the story. Despite the star power and gritty premise, The Devil's Own landed with a thud, plagued by its internal discord. Critics noted the chemistry between the leads, a telling reflection of their off-screen friction. Years have passed, and while both actors went on to immense success, their time spent together remains a cautionary tale in Hollywood. Talent alone can't carry a film if egos and visions pull in opposite directions. Now, let's have a look at number 2, Ridley Scott. Not only did Harrison Ford have clashes with his fellow actors, but he also did the same with directors while filming. The making of Blade Runner in 1982 brought together two cinematic powerhouses, Harrison Ford, fresh off the success of Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and Ridley Scott, the visionary director behind Alien. On paper, it seemed like a dream collaboration, but behind the scenes, it was more of a creative battleground than a harmonious set, with tension simmering between actor and director throughout the shoot. Ford was used to a certain rhythm and clarity in filmmaking. Scott, on the other hand, brought a European art house sensibility to the gritty science fiction noir, focusing heavily on mood, lighting, and visual symbolism. To Ford, this often meant vague direction and endless takes, with little concern for the actor's input or comfort. The disconnect quickly became obvious.
Harrison and I fell out only because I was the new kid on the block. I had never shot in Hollywood before, so that was my first film in Hollywood.
Much of the conflict stemmed from how differently they viewed Deckard, the film's central character. Ford wanted to ground him, to make him human and relatable. Scott, meanwhile, was crafting something more ambiguous, perhaps even suggesting that Deckard himself was a replicant.
Harrison Ford, star of Ridley Scott's new motion picture Blade Runner, set in the year 2019 or 2020.
2020, yeah.
Ford disliked this idea, feeling it robbed the character of emotional depth. He later said he wasn't happy with the script and that the ambiguity frustrated him deeply. On set, the tension was palpable. Miscommunication was frequent, and neither man seemed particularly eager to smooth things over. Ford described the timing process as a long slog, and it showed in his weary performance, which many now praise for its worn-down realism. But at the time, it was the product of creative exhaustion. Matters only worsened in post-production, when a voiceover narration was added to Blade Runner, a move that Ford hated and left him feeling betrayed. Still, the original Blade Runner remains a masterpiece, born of tension. Their conflict, while difficult, ironically helped create one of sci-fi cinema's most enduring classics. Finally, for the grand finale, number 1, George Lucas.
I don't think I'd be stupid enough to go back and redo anything.
George Lucas was a director whom Harrison Ford once worked with. While Harrison Ford and George Lucas created cinematic magic together with Star Wars and Indiana Jones, their working relationship was far from smooth. Behind the iconic collaborations lay a mix of creative clashes, mutual respect, and biting sarcasm, often from Ford's side. Their dynamic was not built on warm camaraderie, but rather on a shared commitment to storytelling, often clouded by frustration. Ford never held back his feelings about Lucas's writing. Famously, after struggling with one of Lucas's dense technical lines in Star Wars, Ford snapped, "George, you can type this but you sure can't say it."
Well, I did say to George, you can type, but you can't say it.
It was a moment of comic relief on set, but it hinted at deeper tensions. Ford felt the dialogue was clunky and unnatural, and he wasn't shy about saying so. Lucas, meticulous and reserved, didn't always appreciate Ford's bluntness. The two also had different approaches to filmmaking. Lucas was methodical, focused on world building and effects. Ford was all about character and realism. This led to frequent debates, especially as the Star Wars franchise grew. Ford famously wanted Han Solo killed off in Return of the Jedi, believing it would add weight to the story. Lucas refused. He saw Han as part of the franchise's beating heart and a future merchandising goldmine. Despite the creative friction, both men respected each other's talents. Their clashes were less about ego and more about vision. Over time, their relationship mellowed, and they reunited for more Indiana Jones films. Still, the early years were tense, a mix of brilliance and butting heads.
Are you looking forward to watching a Han Solo movie as a fan?
I'll be watching it as a
This uneasy alliance became part of Hollywood legend, a gruff, no-nonsense actor challenging a quiet, cerebral filmmaker. It wasn't always friendly, but it worked, And in that friction, some of cinema's most beloved characters were born. While Harrison Ford is known for his professionalism, he hasn't looked away from voicing frustrations with certain co-stars over the years. From the creative clashes to personality differences, his behind-the-scenes tensions with actors, directors, and others reveal the challenges of working in high-stakes Hollywood productions. Hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and click on the subscribe button for more.